Good evening, everyone. It's such a great honor to be here tonight with you all. I feel like I'm making new friends. I don't think I know a whole lot of you yet, but I'm looking forward to getting to know you all through the course of the evening and in the future. Let me set my timer here so that I'm on track. I don't have my wife here tonight. She usually gives me the signals. I appreciate that. Again, my name is Walt King. I am proud to be the leader of the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce. I work closely with your own Janet Karcher. She's chairman of the board this year, and together I think we've had a fantastic 2022 so far. It's been a year of challenge, but it's been a year of great opportunity as well. So I'd like to divide tonight's discussion into kind of three parts. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got here. I'd like to tell you all what's going on in town from our perspective. And then I'd like to tell you about how the Chamber of Commerce in San Angelo is geared up to serve the town that I will have told you about in the second part. So I'm very open to questions. It's a relatively small group, but I will also reserve some time at the end so that we can have some Q&A, and I'm very happy to entertain that. As my introduction said, I am from Chicago originally. I'm a University of Illinois grad. I spent most of my career working overseas in the telecommunications industry. I was an executive with AT&T and Lucent Technologies. My wife is a green card Italian. One of my assignments was running the organization for Lucent Technologies in Italy, and I met her through that experience, and we've been married for about 10 years now. And we had the privilege to serve the U.S. government. I was in the State Department as a senior economic advisor in both Iraq and Afghanistan, 4 years each. So it was a very interesting time, and it was a transformational time for me. During that period, I learned a lot about myself through serving my country in a very distressed environment. And it was during those years that I realized that I wanted my life to take a new direction. And I wanted to use the skills that I'd learned through my career in leadership and in business and in commerce and in industry to help communities here in the United States. And I thought the best way I could do that is by being a chamber president. Now, I'd never led a Chamber of Commerce before coming here, but I had set them up, and I had been on boards, and I did see the great value that a strong chamber brings to a community. And I decided, with a lot of prayer and a lot of support from my wife, to move here to Texas. When it was said that I didn't expect to end up here, that was not a bad expectation. It was actually a great surprise. My wife and I looked at about 8 communities all across the United States, from northern Ohio to southern Idaho. We could have lived anywhere. And as soon as we landed in Texas, we knew that this was our place. I just didn't expect it would be Texas. I expected it might be North Carolina or it might be someplace. But we have been very, very happy in Texas. I was privileged to serve as the president of the Chamber of Commerce in Kerrville for 3.5 years. You all know Kerrville, just a couple hours up the road in the hill country. And I had the opportunity to visit San Angelo on a number of occasions. We used to come over here to have fun. You know, Kerrville's relatively small, and there's a lot of great nightlife entertainment here, and we knew some folks here. And our first visit was very positive, and we kept coming back. I'll tell you a little bit about it all starts with a visit tagline, but it is our story. And when this opportunity opened up to be president of the chamber here, I seized on it. And by the grace of God and a lot of prayer, we ended up here, and I've been very, very happy about that. My wife, you'll meet her, I'm sure. You can tell she's an Italian within about 30 seconds of speaking to her. She's got a very cute and strong accent, and she herself has become incredibly involved in the community. She serves on a number of boards, including KSAB, Keep San Angelo Beautiful. She's very involved in the arts, and she's been very happy to be here. So I'm proud to say that San Angelo loves my wife, and my wife loves San Angelo, and that makes my life great. So we really appreciate the great warmth and the reception that we've gotten. Now, I came here and started April 1st, 2020, April Fool's Day. Showed up to an empty chamber. I thought that was pretty funny. COVID had just set in. I'm going to take my jacket off.
We don't mind.
And I realized that it was going to be an extraordinary time for our community, an extraordinary time.
You're good.
Extraordinary time for our community. So I was able to get the staff together, and I said, you know, this is our time to prove our worth to our community. If we're not here for our memberships during the tough times, they're not going to want us here during the easy times. So we're going to lean into COVID, and we as a community are going to help our businesses and help the citizens and members of this community succeed through the challenge.
I'm just going to clip this on your shirt. There we go. Thank you.
So we're fortunate enough to get the chamber opened up as a essential business, and we only were closed for about 2 or 3 days. We went right back to work, and we worked very hard to serve our community during COVID. And I was incredibly impressed as a newcomer to see this community come together. I'm talking city, county, ISD, Shannon Health, a lot of the other organizations, Chamber, Economic Development, and others, to face the challenges as a community together. We lobbied hard in Austin with the governor's office to get West Texas treated differently than the Metroplexes in terms of COVID restrictions and COVID regulations. I remember saying, we're all in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat. So please give us some local prerogative so that we can chart our own destiny and set our own rules as we move through COVID. And that served this community very, very well. The leadership we saw at the city and the county was considered, but we did not suffer the strong shutdowns and severe restrictions that we saw in other parts of the world and other parts of the state. So we were very fortunate for that. We also were able to work with the financial institutions and the Small Business Development Center and others to get over $100 million of PPP aid to our local businesses. And this allowed them to stay in business through a very, very challenging time. So the COVID years were very interesting. We pulled together as a community. We learned how to work together. And I learned during that period that I have the best chamber staff in the state of Texas. Despite the fears and despite the concerns, they showed up, they were there to serve, and they were there with dedication and devotion to the city, the members, and everyone. And I'm very, very proud of that. And that set a great stage for what's happened since then in the city. San Angelo is a city that's on the move. It's a city that is a Goldilocks community, I call it, not too big, not too small, kind of just right. There's a lot to do, but you can still drive anywhere in about 8 minutes. I like that part. I've lived in high traffic environments, and that's not a lot of fun. But there's a lot going on here. And I'm very, very pleased to see not only how we've come through the COVID years, but the trajectory and the positioning that we have the community on in order to take advantage of some emerging trends that we see. One of the great things about San Angelo is that we're not really all that great at one thing, but we're really, really good at a lot of things. And I'm proud to say we've just recently learned that through Moody's Analytics, which is one of the gold standard organizations that do analytical research and analytical reporting, that San Angelo, Texas is the #1 quality of life city in the state of Texas. And that's an awesome, awesome distinction. Those of us who live here kind of feel that way, but it's kind of nice to hear it from an organization that sets the gold standards for determining those kinds of things. And in analyzing why we are in that position, again, we don't really have the best of anything, but everything we have is really good. So across the board, we're really balanced as a community, and that's reflecting in terms of the quality of life that we all enjoy. If we look at our economy, again, we're very balanced. Unlike some of our neighbors to the west, we are not a single commodity driven economy. We do rely to some degree on the oil industry, but nowhere near the degree of some of our community neighbors to the west. We have a very strong industrial sector. We have over 100 manufacturers in the Concho Valley area, which surprises most people because we don't think of ourselves necessarily as a manufacturing community. I'm going to talk some more about some of the specifics there as I move into the chamber work. We are a community that is bookended, I call it, by two very stable, very large, and very important organizations with Goodfellow Air Force Base on one side and ASU on the other. And right in the middle, we have Shannon Health. So we have three great pillars institutionally, which provides us as a community a great deal of stability through various economic cycles as we go forward. And that's a great, great position to be in. We have a very strong retail sector. Our catchment zone, because of the sparse population in West Texas, is rather large. People will drive 80 miles to go to a Walmart. So it's a big area. And that's why we have 5 Walmarts here. We don't need 5 Walmarts with 100,000 people, but given the catchment zone we have in terms of regular shoppers, that's why we are getting that level of retail income and velocity. And I was really pleased to see a brand new brick and mortar retail establishment in the new Kohl's that's just been built. I don't think there's hardly anywhere in the world that's building brick and mortar retail right now, but San Angelo is seen as worthy of that by the folks at Kohl's, and that's where we're going with that. So that's just one indicator of the future prospect that outsiders see as they're investing in our community. So we have great retail, we've got great travel and tourism. I'm going to talk a little bit about travel and tourism when I talk about the chamber, but we have a lot of distinctions as a community in the travel and tourism industry. We are the #1 True West city, as defined by True West magazine. We beat out the likes of Prescott, Arizona, Tombstone, Deadwood, and others to achieve that title. And we've been #1 or #2 for the last 4 years. And that's owing to our great history at Fort Concho, the great preservation that we see in our downtown area, and the preservation of the crafts that we see through Letty's, the boot makers, the saddle makers, and others, and of course the great rodeo and sports tradition. Again, we're not #1 in any of that, but we do a whole lot of different things that put us in the map as a true Western city, and that's a great, great tourism draw and a great distinction we have, leveraging our super history and the way we've preserved it. So we were #1 destination of the year by Texas Travel Magazine in 2021, and that has really benefited our economy a great deal. So we have retail, travel and tourism, the pillars I talked about, manufacturing. Of course, we have agriculture. And agriculture's been a great, great part. About $800 million in the Concho Valley is produced by the agriculture industry across all crops and livestock production. And that's always going to be a very important part of not only our culture, but of our economy and our economic wherewithal. So, you know, we have those, and of course, we have I call it the fires, the finance, insurance, and real estate, all very vibrant. I heard it said once that there's more banks than churches in San Angelo. It's not true. I counted. There's more churches than banks, but there's a lot of banks. And that's a good thing, because those banks are what provide the capital and the economic engine that's necessary to take us forward. And if we look at where we're going, I'm very pleased to see the entrepreneurship in this town. Entrepreneurship's a big part of our DNA here in San Angelo, and we've got one of the best small business development centers in the state, helping young entrepreneurs and even older entrepreneurs figure out how to do their business and figure out how to make their successes in their own business enterprises. So all in all, San Angelo presents to the world a great balanced capacity, stability, steady growth, and I maintain very bright future prospects. Now, if we look at the macroeconomics of the world in the post-COVID environment, I think there's really 3 drivers that are going to be very helpful to San Angelo going forward. One, of course, is that whole urban to rural shift that we've been seeing. People have realized that they can work virtually and they can live in more flexible places, or more flexibly in different places than they have before. And a lot of people are choosing to live in quality of life cities like San Angelo. We're seeing a positive migration of a lot of digital nomads, we call them, people who work from home. but also businesses that are set up to be more virtually modeled. And one of the things I'm very excited to see, and I know this is somewhat controversial in some sectors, but the deployment of fiber optic cable to the households through our town is a great investment, and it's a great infrastructure that will provide us not only good quality of life in our homes, but good economic draw in terms of getting more businesses here from across the world, because a strong communications capacity and infrastructure is really essential in the 21st century. And we're certainly on the leading edge of that, and we like to see that. So, you know, the torn up yards and gardens is a pain in the neck for now, but over the long term, it's going to be very, very good for San Angelo and the city in the future. So that's where that's going. So we have that urban to rural shift. And I don't mean to be political, but there's a similar migration that's going on, and I'll call it high-taxed northern states to lower-taxed southern states. Maybe blue state to red state is a different way to say that, but there's certainly a net migration from certain states to other states, and Texas is certainly benefiting from that migration, and it's one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing states in terms of inward migration, net migration. And San Angelo is certainly benefiting from that as well, and will continue to do so. So those two trends kind of work together, but they're different. But there's one trend that I'm really excited about, and it's one that's perhaps less known, and it's one that's, but one that's very, very important. We all saw the issues of supply chain as we pulled out of the COVID situation, and what we're seeing on a macroeconomic world basis is a shortening of supply chains generally, which is meaning that a lot of manufacturing capacity is being pulled from China and the Pacific Rim into this hemisphere. And a lot of that manufacturing capacity is going to land in Mexico, South America, and other places down, because their unit labor costs and others are attractive. They're more close in terms of proximity, and those supply chains are very risky, especially those businesses that are sitting in some of the more politically volatile areas of the world right now. So that trend's real. And San Angelo's very well positioned to take advantage of those trends, in that, you know, our geographic location is very centralized to a lot of different urban areas and a lot of different markets. We have a rail line which is becoming active again, a short haul rail line, and a bridge in Presidio, Texas will soon be opening up, which will allow free flow of goods between the US and Mexico in both directions. A lot of agricultural products will be coming from the Concho Valley and going down into Mexico, particularly cotton, and we will see a lot of manufactured goods coming the other way. And San Angelo is very well positioned to take advantage of that trade and transport, and I see us becoming a very important logistics hub for the Southwest United States as time goes on. And we, as a city, have worked through a public-private partnership to set up a multimodal rail yard and facility to begin to capture that business to the benefit of our local economy. And I'm very excited with the progress that's been made there, and I'm very, very excited in the future with respect to being that logistics hub. Also supporting that vision is not one, but two interstate highways, which are becoming and crossing here, one north-south, one east-west, ports to plains and ports to forts, respectively. And those 20-year projects will benefit us from an economic development standpoint starting now. As soon as those became real versus theoretical, and as soon as those fundings got put into place, we already started to see increasing interest in terms of businesses locating here and businesses who are operating here expanding. And again, interstate highways bring concerns as well as benefits. I hear both sides. I will assure you that Kerrville has not one but two interstate highway entrances onto I-10. Net benefit to Kerrville was strong, and really the disadvantages, as I saw it in Kerrville, were relatively small. So it's going to be an interesting evolution, one that we have to, as a community, plan for and take take into account. But these are all, I believe, from an economic standpoint, positive developments which will help us to grow our community. So the future for San Angelo, I think, is quite bright. Some of the challenges we have is really as a result of our success. Our unemployment rate is sitting right around 3%, which is very low. And it's very, very hard to find workers. If I talk to our 1,100 members, everyone will say we have issues with finding workers. And that's something that we as a chamber are working on very aggressively, and I'll talk about that in the chamber section. But that's certainly a challenge. And an associated challenge, or related challenge, is our housing. We have relatively low inventories of housing, particularly at the affordable ranges, where we really need to have that for our workforce development. And we have been working hard with the city and with others, to get more options in terms of multifamily, single family, lower end of the range of price housing out there, so that we can start really retaining the graduates from our schools, to keep them here working, and to attract the key workers that we're going to need to take our economy forward in the future. So these are some of the challenges that we see. I think with respect to water, unlike some of our neighbors here in West Texas, we have in place a number of very key and very long-term agreements, which, if the forecasts hold, and I think they're pretty solid forecasts, we should have enough water to sustain our projected growth for decades to come. So that's, I think, good compliments to the city leadership for putting those kinds of agreements into place. And I believe that we are always going to have to be vigilant with respect to water, because it is West Texas, but we're certainly in a good position there with respect to it fueling our growth going forward. So again, I'm very proud to be part of the San Angelo leadership team here. We, as a team, pulled together during a really tough time of COVID. Our faith carried us a great deal through that time. I oftentimes say San Angelo is an island of sanity in a very troubled world. Our culture, our faith, our values, our patriotism, our family focus, our love of God and country certainly serve us well, and certainly build the culture that we're all proud of, and certainly contribute to our designation as the #1 quality of life city in the state of Texas. So very, very proud to be part of the community. So that's how I see San Angelo from an economic standpoint. And now I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce. I oftentimes speak in front of various aged kids from high school, grammar school, college, trade school. I generally ask, how many of y'all know what a Chamber of Commerce is and does? Show of hands. Maybe I'll try that with y'all. How many of y'all know what a Chamber of Commerce does? Okay, that's about what I expect. I had a kid once in the 6th grade class. He raised his hand really quickly, and I said, "What is a Chamber of Commerce?" He said, "It's a jail." And I said, "Sometimes it might feel that way." Yeah, I think my chairman sometimes feels it, but anyway, no. But you know, the Chamber of Commerce is put into place with 4 key missions. We're a not-for-profit organization. We are not part of the city, though we do have some funding from the city and county to support some of our efforts. Most of our revenue comes from our membership fees, and thankfully as a chamber we've been very successful through COVID. We've grown substantially. In fact, of the last 26 months, I think we've had only 1 month of net membership loss. Pre-COVID, we were around 920 members. We're right now about 1,120 members. And to have that kind of sustained growth during the COVID years was quite a testament to my team and the values that the community places on what we do. So a lot of that comes from the membership dues. We also have fundraisers throughout the year. I'm going to talk some about those with some video. So I'll break up my speech with a little video so you can see what that looks like. But 4 missions of the Chamber are really the promotion of business locally. So we help our local businesses to network, get to know each other, learn how to do business with each other, and take advantage of the services and goods that each other sells. And that could be First Financial Bank, could be Shannon Hospital, could be Betty's Candle Shop, could be a lot of different entities. With 1,100 members, we have a wide range of different kind of businesses and individuals and not-for-profits. Most churches in San Angelo are members of the Chamber of Commerce because they take advantage of those kinds of promotional services, those networking opportunities, and those abilities to get your word out to a very, very accepting and interested community. So that's one of the key aspects of what we do. The second mission of Chamber of Commerce is advocacy for the government, at the government. I mentioned earlier where we talked about keeping West Texas more empowered with respect to establishing COVID restrictions and regulations. That was an advocacy effort. But I've spent time in Washington, D.C., I spend time in Austin, I spend a lot of time at City Hall here, Commissioner's Court as well. We do candidates forums during the election season to make sure that the community is informed as far as their options in elected officials are concerned. We work on specific legislation. We are very involved in the interstate projects in terms of getting those projects approved, and we're very active politically. We've got great relationships with Drew Darby, Charles Perry, our representative and senator, also August Pfluger, Ted Cruz, John Cornyn, and others. So we have a very, very big footprint with respect to the advocacy mission. The third is training. We work closely with the Small Business Development Center to help our businesses acquire the skills that they need to be successful, be it marketing or finance or leadership or personnel or other things. We make sure that our members get access to the necessary skills training that help them to be successful. And then the final leg of the four-legged stool is economic development. And our chamber is very, very involved in economic development. And I'll get into some details of that in just a moment. We're a large chamber as chambers go in terms of staff. We've got 14 full-time and 3 part-time staff members in 3 different divisions or departments. The Travel and Tourism Promotion Department, or the Destination Marketing Organization, is under the Chamber umbrella. And why don't we see what our Destination Marketing Organization uses to promote San Angelo to the rest of the world. That makes me pretty proud. What y'all think? So we go out to the world, and we go out to the world through our destination marketing organization. It's headed up by a lady named Diane Bays. She's the best travel and tourism promoter I've ever seen. She's awesome at what she does. She brings a great deal of knowledge and passion. And she leads a team of 4, doing marketing, doing travel promotion, booking events and getting conventions and conferences here. And I'll just give you a couple quick statistics on what their impact is. The tourism tax dollars that are brought into our community, just through hotel tax and others, saves each household about $500 a year in terms of tax savings. And for a lot of folks, that's like a week's pay. So it's a big deal. You know, it's a big deal to have that impact. If you look at the sales tax income from the city, about 51% comes from people who do not reside in San Angelo. Now, part of that's our wide shopping zone, catchment zone, but a lot of that's tourism and tourist dollars coming into our town, staying in our town, and then those folks leaving those dollars behind and not putting a whole lot of burden in terms of our infrastructure. So travel and tourism, super important. I'm very proud of my team that undertakes that. Like I say, they're the best in the state, and we can be very proud of that part of our community. The second organization I talked about is our Economic Development Department. 2 gentlemen staff that department, and I'd like to show you a little bit about what they do. Their focus is really in terms of bringing industrial clients into San Angelo to establish their businesses or to help those who have industrial businesses here to expand their businesses. These are a lot of the higher paying jobs. These are what we call primary jobs, in that the goods and services produced by these companies are used outside of San Angelo, and the dollars that come in are original dollars. So these aren't dollars that are passed between businesses in town. These are new dollars coming into town, which provides an important net benefit to our economic wherewithal. So let's look at what's going on the industrial side. And you'll see SARMA, and SARMA is the San Angelo Regional Manufacturing Alliance, and that's a chamber organization.
Our primary focus is to haul dry bulk commodities, which is frac sand, from the shipper out to the oil sites towards Midland. We're up to 98 drivers right now, and we are looking to expand up towards 120. We are kind of a family-oriented, family mindset business here, so we want that person and employee to fit our mold.
C&J is a top-tier well completions, construction, and well services company. And our goal actually is just to make sure that we deliver the best service possible to each and every one of our clients throughout the whole, all the bases of North America. We have looked all over the place for the perfect ingredient between quality of staff, quality of resources, location, and not to mention the fact that San Angelo is geared toward a certified workforce. That is prime conditions for us to do business here and operate in the Permian Basin.
What we do is we'll take a customer's engine that's reached its economic life, it's used up, and so the benefit for the customers, we'll take that engine, rebuild it, sandblast it to get all the paint, residue off of it, we'll bring it in our shop. We then build that engine back, and when the customer receives that engine, it looks like a brand new one, and it basically is brand new.
What we do is we manufacture oil field storage tanks, production equipment for separation of the oil, gas, and water for the oil field industry. Being, one of the original members of the SARMA organization, San Angelo Regional Manufacturers Alliance, I think things are great. They have already helped me, the city has. They've reached out to some of my potential customers that could change my business dramatically.
San Angelo tends to be a little more slower paced than, like, say, your Midland, Odessa area, where everything is crazy and turning and coming and going. So from our dynamics of our personality, how we are as a company and our fit and our model, San Angelo is just a great fit for that aspect, especially the employees that we've been able to drive through the communities around here. They're at our pace. Another aspect of us being in San Angelo is that our guys are usually routinely home daily, unless something crazy at the frac happens where they have to shut down the frac job or something of that nature. Our drivers are usually able to get home the same day. So it makes it nice because it molds towards that family time and being back home with the kids and the wife and all that kind of stuff. You get a little more routine home life.
We have so much support from the community, from the chamber, not to mention any of the other support facilities of the Concho Valley, they're all at our disposal. They're all happy and accepting that we're here, and we feel the same. It's a great symbiotic relationship.
So the benefit of being on the big play like in the Permian Basin is the fact that we're just not in the middle of the hype and having to deal with everything that goes with that. Elevated hotel cost, elevated housing, elevated restaurants. We still have our hometown feel and our home people we deal with, instead of everything being so transient and dealing with people that are not locals. I find that a big benefit.
There's other people in this industry that are shipping from East Texas, from Oklahoma, from South Texas, Seguin, and they're hauling to the West Texas. I'm close, but not too close. I can still service them within an hour or two, just like Odessa and Midland can. I have less headache. I have a good employee pool, and the quality of life is just so much better in my opinion.
So the Chamber of Commerce works very closely with industry and the 110 manufacturers here in the Concho Valley. I'm pleased to say that we've just recruited a brand new company coming to town. They're based in Germany. They manufacture electronic components that are used in cell phone networks. That's going to be 20 high-paying career jobs with full benefits, growing to as many as 30 or 40 in the very near term. These are the kind of businesses we want to bring to town. These are the kind of businesses that will retain our graduates from our high school and from our trade schools and from ASU, to continue to have them live here and be part of our community. And retaining our graduates is one of our biggest priorities in terms of how we deal with San Angelo as a chamber. And good segue into our youth. The Chamber of Commerce is very involved in our young professionals and those who are in our educational institutions. We're strong believers in a career for everyone. We do respect the four-year degree path, but we also understand that that's not for every student, and we also understand that our community needs tradesmen, manufacturing personnel, hospitality workers, medical technicians and medical workers and others to make our economy work. And we're working very closely with the educational institutions to make sure that those linkages are made between those educational institutions and the future employers to make sure that they stay here and that they have profitable careers here in San Angelo. One of the great programs I'm proud of the Chamber does is our 20 under 40 program, and I'd like to acquaint you with a little bit about what that's about. We just had our award ceremony for the 2022 class, and basically what it is, it's a nominated process where folks under 40 are nominated by their peers and their colleagues for excellence at work, high ethical standards for personal life, and contribution to the community. This year we got 84 applicants that got down. We had to narrow down to 20, but it's a program that we do in order to further engage our youth and make sure that they're part of the chamber and part of the community. So if we can go ahead and see the quick 20 under 40.
Receiving the 20 under 40 award for me really meant that the work that I've been doing in the community and with specific individuals was validated. It was noticed.
I was so excited to receive the 20 under 40 award. I got it when I was 26 years old. I've been in San Angelo about 2 years, and so it was so wonderful to be able to receive that award and just know that people knew who I was and just respected and appreciated the work I was doing in the community.
You know, I think every one of us as leaders are our own toughest critic. And so for me, it was a real opportunity for me to take a step back and kind of appreciate the journey that I've been on and how far I have come. So it was really meaningful for me in that way.
One of the greatest parts of being nominated, being recognized in something like this, especially in a cohort situation like 20 under 40 is, you know, I made friends, I interacted, met other like-minded leaders like myself. And we have kind of like that unique special bond because we were recognized at the same time and kind of went through that all together.
Being recognized as a young leader, I think really helps your career in the way that it gives a voice to all of the volunteerism, all the nonprofits, all the things that all these community members are doing. It gives those things a voice.
So when I got recognized for 20 under 40, I was the city videographer, and now I oversee our communications department 9 years later. So for me, what it showed me was that I was capable of more and that I should be doing more. For me, the 20 under 40 recognition just motivated me to do more and to figure out how far I could take myself and what all I could do.
I want to tell our young leaders in our community just keep striving, because they're the ones going to make the difference. They're going to be the future of this community. We are the future of this community.
I really try to support young people and kind of help them become community leaders just in various ways through our business with support financially, and then also just it is very important to build up the confidence of the young people in this community, because that's who is going to lead everything forward.
If we don't nurture those folks that are going to take the reins in the next generation, we're not going to be able to see the successful community that we have now.
So from a 2016 inductee, I want to congratulate all the 2022 inductees in the 20 under 40. Congratulations, this is an honor for you. Keep on striving.
So the Chamber of Commerce is very, very involved in making sure that we keep our graduates here and that we get them started in their careers in a good way. And I can guarantee you that our 20 under 40 recipients over the years, the very, very high percentage of them stay in our community, build careers in our community, and bring great benefit to our community. So we're very, very proud of that accomplishment and that service that we give as a chamber in terms of developing that next generation to take the reins as we move forward. And finally, I'd just like to talk about our advocacy a little bit. One of our biggest events of the year is our West Texas Legislative Summit. We have it every year, first week of August, where we bring legislators from across the state and across the nation to San Angelo to have a day of discussions around key issues of interest. And it's a great event, so maybe we can spool up that last video and you'll see what that's all about. Good morning, everyone. I'm Walt Koenig, President and CEO of the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce, and you're all warmly welcome to our 18th annual West Texas Legislative Summit.
The San Angelo Chamber is celebrating its 106th year. The West Texas Legislative Summit provides an excellent opportunity for regional leaders, community members, and elected officials to discuss the issues impacting West Texas communities. Thank you to our event co-host, U.S. Congressman August Pfluger, State Senator Charles Perry, and State Representative Drew Darby. We appreciate you juggling your busy schedules to be with us here today.
It's my privilege to be able to introduce our morning keynote speaker, our Governor Greg Abbott, leader of the Texas economy, the Texas people, and leader of the country, more than people will ever know. Thank you, Governor Greg Abbott, for coming.
We in the Abbott family know, and that is West Texas is just as important as any other region of the state. Anything west of I-35 is just as important as anything east of I-35. And we will go into this next session making sure that the values that are core to West Texas are representative of the legislation that we pass to make Texas even better. Thank you all for the role that you play. God bless you all, and God bless the great state of Texas. Thank you.
So I stand before you tonight very proud of the organization I lead. As I said before, it's the best staff in Texas. We're very, very optimistic about the future of San Angelo, and we're here with servants' hearts to bring all the range of talents that we can bear to help each and every one of you all be successful as well. And I am almost right perfectly on time.
5 minutes for questions.
And we can do 5 minutes Q&A, and I'm happy to stay after if you're shy to ask a question in public, but happy to do that. Please.
How do you see the airport developing? You know, we had an additional airline come in for about 10 minutes and then they slowed out.
I'd say more like a cup of coffee, but yeah, it's a good question. There's two answers. I'll answer the passenger side first. The deal that we tried to strike with United Airlines was a good idea, and I think was probably done at a bad time. Bad time for two reasons. One, we were still suffering from travel restraints due to COVID, and second is we had a related pilot shortage, which we're still struggling with today. We couldn't get the ridership up within the time period they wanted to. We were willing to take the risk. It didn't pan out. I don't think that's a done deal in terms of never happening again, but it's going to be a while before that comes back. Good news is we do have many flights per day to Dallas, and that affords us a lot of flexibility that other communities of our size don't have. If you look at the non-passenger side of the airport, that's cargo, private aviation, and manufacturing, there's a great deal going on at the airport right now in terms of investment, new hangars, new industrial capacity, and new job opportunities that will be resulting from that investment. So it's a good news story on the economic development front. It's a tougher news story in terms of the passenger flow. But I will tell you, as a guy who's been in most airports around the world, it's great to walk into an airport and have TSA say, "All right, y'all, let's get you checked in for the flight," and have like 10 people be there. It's just really, it's really great. So I hope that answers your question. Any other questions?
How about SAPAC? Do you see them holding their own and being something that's worthwhile and helpful?
Oh, so, you know, within 45 minutes, I could not hit on every great thing that we have going on here, and I don't mean to leave SAPAC out, nor MOFA, I mean, we have a lot of great arts here. A lot of folks are surprised that West Texas does not have that reputation as being an arts capital. We are the visual arts capital for the state of Texas, 10-year designation we just got last year, very proud of that. And I think SAPAC brings a tremendous amount of options in terms of entertainment, and I think we'll see that grow. I think they suffered through COVID as most large venues did, but I know their new executive director out there, Yuki. He's an awesome guy. We work very closely. He goes to all of our events, we go to all of his events, and we're very close in terms of chamber support for SAPAC, and I expect great things out of them. And we're very lucky to have them, frankly. Any other questions?
I have one. So one of the things I ask people to do when they come is to maybe have an ask of us. What's something that we, either as individuals or as the church, can do to help the chamber?
Well, you know, we're all the time involved with trying to help groups in town. Lately, we've been very focused on helping our veterans community who's been suffering, I think, disproportionately through the economic hard times that we're seeing right now. Prayers and thoughts in that direction are always helpful. Come to our events, add to the great diversity of folks that we have. You all coming to our events telling your story helps our other members tell their story, and them getting to know you gives them great benefit, and you getting to know them does as well. So, be mindful of as I know you are, of those in need in our community as we are, and come to our events. We really like to see you.
Yeah, because there are some events that are member only, but the majority are not.
I'll ask Janet to close her here. I never check membership cards at the door.
Yeah, no.
In fact, what I've told my staff is there's only two kinds of people in San Angelo. There's members of the chamber and there's future members of the chamber, and they both deserve our respect. So if you want to come to a luncheon, you don't have to be a member. You want to come to business at happy hour or coffee with the CEO or any of the educational opportunities we have. Some have a small charge, cost recovery kind of charge, but you're welcome. I never check ID cards at the door. We are a ministry, much as you all are. Our mission is different, but our servant's heart is there.
Thank you very much, Walt.
Thank you.